Art is open to interpretation, but here's something that's totally clear. You can save on your bus trip to the First Street Transit Gallery to see works from CSULB students. Get your Go Beach Pass from Long Beach Transit for as little as $40 a month for unlimited bus rides, then go check out pieces from your fellow students on display in downtown Long Beach. Great value and great art, it's as easy to understand as that. For more information on the Go Beach Pass from Long Beach Transit, visit ridelbt.com/students.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beach Weekly, a podcast created and produced by Long Beach State student-run newspaper, the Daily 49er. My name is Cindy Aguilera, and I will be your host for today. Joining me is today my co-host, Aziza Gomez. How's it going, Aziza? How are you?
I'm good, Cindy. Just kind of grounding myself for this. I just came back from work, so I'm trying to get into that podcast host mentality.
Hey, we are here. We're here, and I am very happy to have you here. So thank you for being booked and busy and always being here on time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to give you a little time to chill and sit back. You said you just got off work, so I'm going to get our news for this week started. All right. First things first, Long Beach State Weekly Sports Recap. This week, we have a lot of good things happening in sports. First things first, our reporter Malik Reeves reports in tennis. Team members Ariana Bakova, Nikola Homolkova, Claire Ledoux, Zara Lennon, Sheena Masuda, and Susanna Setsinpanska all competed in doubles actions. I am so sorry if I mispronounce any of those names. Saturday was the team's best day of the tournament, which featured a sweep in doubles play and 2 wins in singles action. LBSU's women's tennis will be back on the court in November for a tournament at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Next up in volleyball, women's volleyball had a busy week, competing in back-to-back conference games against UC Davis and UC Riverside. The beach came up short for both games, losing in 5 sets against UC Riverside and being swept against UC Davis. Those losses moved them to 3-7 in conference play and 9-12 overall. Next up in soccer, senior Kayla Cannon scored her 3rd goal of the season, with junior Lena Silano providing the assist to secure the victory for LPSU. With 2 remaining games left in the regular season, they will be back in action at home next week against Cal Poly Pomona and UC Santa Barbara as they look to compete for the Big West title. Last but not least, in golf, the women's golf team is closed out its fall season with a final tournament this past weekend. The team was invited to the Clash at Boulder Creek, hosted by Northern Arizona. There were 1 of 18 teams taking part in this tournament, which runs from Sunday, October 24th through Tuesday, October 26th. Now, just a little sidebar in the volleyball sport at LBSU. Recently, our reporter Matthew Brown reports that Long Beach State Athletic relieves its women's volleyball coach of her duties. Long Beach State women's volleyball head coach Joy Mackenzie Furbringer was relieved of her duties effective immediately after failing to meet program expectations, according to a press release on Monday. Executive Director of Athletics Andy Fee says making a coach change is never easy, but it's an especially difficult decision when you know that the coach has a history with our program and university. Best of luck to our volleyball coach. In the meantime, it will be assistant coach Sabrina Hernandez taking her place. And last but not least for my part, President Jane Close Connolly shares latest development regarding Pavunga. Our reporter Fernando Haro reports that Long Beach State's President Jane Close Connolly addressed the Long Beach community on Wednesday regarding the recent developments in a lawsuit between the university and the Native American tribes that consider Pavunga a sacred land. If you guys didn't know this, Long Beach is on Pavunga land, and for a really long time now, they've been kind of going back and forth in this kind of settlement agreement. The article says this comes after a settlement agreement, which was reached in September, this past September, that put an end to the lawsuit brought by the Juaneño Band of Mission Indians, the Achachemen Nation, Velardes and the California Cultural Resources Preservation Alliance as well have been fighting to preserve this 22-acre plot of land that's right next to our campus. So it's good, I think, to see some progress in that struggle. Aziza, do you want to jump in and share your portion of the news this week?
Yeah, of course. Before I do that, I want to say that I'm really happy that we reached the settlement with Pavagna. I know
That's what
that's
I'm saying.
really, really important to so many of our community members. So I'm
Yep.
glad that we did go forward with the settlement and are gonna have good vibes on campus
Hopefully.
again. Yeah.
Hopefully, because let me tell you some, just from just reading and doing, my very preliminary research on
Mm,
native, issues regarding like land acknowledgement, that's pretty much all that they really ask for is just
mhm.
they want their land back.
Yeah.
And I don't see the problem with that. I think that's absolutely reasonable. And if anything, it's long, 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 long overdue.
Mhm.
But again, yeah, like you said, Aziz, I'm happy that the school is making progress and we're moving forward and really correcting some of the things that just need to be fixed.
Yeah, man, I agree. So for campus news, Isabel Patterson Child Development Center has yet to reopen to full capacity amid staff shortage. As classes return to in person instruction, the Isabel Patterson Child Development Center and resources for pregnant and parenting students suffer low engagement and limited capacity. At its peak, the Isabel Patterson Child Development Center could hold up to 200 children on a typical day. Nationally, there is a shortage of childcare workers largely due to anxieties about children being unvaccinated and the rise of the Delta variant. The center hopes to expand upon the services they're currently offering and open up to full capacity soon. In order to maintain an appropriate student to teacher ratio, the center has limited enrollment until they can hire more teachers. Preschool aged 3-year-olds have a ratio of 7 students for one teacher. Classrooms for 4-year-olds and older preschool have 8 students per teacher. The oldest children, as well as school age children, maintain a ratio of 10 students per teacher. Spots at the Child Development Center have always been highly sought after, and there's currently a wait list for families looking to join the center. Part of the center's mission is to offer childcare for student parents who are prioritized for enrollment so they can focus on their studies. Beyond the Isabel Patterson Child Development Center, some resources available for pregnant and parenting students include the Beach Parents Program and the Pregnant and Parenting Students Association. Yet, all of these programs have suffered due to the low engagement resulting from online instruction. Alexandria Colchico, director of the Isabel Patterson Child Development Center, says they're looking forward to the day that this blows over and we get more students on campus and a healthier pool of employment. This made me happy to know that there is resources on campus for, students who are experiencing that life of juggling school and being a mom or a dad, parent,
Yeah.
period. That's amazing.
Yeah. Someone who was raised as being someone who was raised by a single parent, I can tell you that I appreciate all those people who helped my mom out when I was a kid because it's not easy, to juggle not only just like raising a whole person, but also like pursuing your education on top of that and all the responsibilities that go along with that. So yeah, I agree. I actually didn't even know that we offered all that stuff. So that's all really informative. I'm glad that I learned about that and we can pass that on to other moms out there who I think absolutely are 1000% welcome to pursue their education. I think it's great.
Yeah, and don't be ashamed of asking for help.
Yep.
Everybody needs help nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And for my second piece of news, Daily 49er reporter Daniela Gonzalez delivers an article on how to stay safe on Halloween. As students prepare for the rapidly approaching Halloween weekend, it is important to keep in mind all the dangers that can occur and to remember that safety is a priority. It is important for students to be aware of all the dangers surrounding alcohol consumption on Halloween. For those who have plans to join in on the festivities, Long Beach State Police Department Captain John Brocky provided a few tips for CSULB students to stay safe. First tip is to celebrate with known and trustworthy people. To best ensure one's safety on Halloween night, students should only be going out with close friends or family they trust. It's really not safe to go out alone, especially if one is not familiar with the place or people there. Second tip, keep an eye on your drink. Captain Brocky says that students should not accept drinks from people they don't know. Drink spiking is very common, and with all the alcohol consumed on Halloween, it is important to be aware of the fact. Students should only accept and consume drinks from friends or family they trust, or drinks that they opened and served themselves. Students who go to an event and choose to not drink should keep an eye out on friends and be aware of the symptoms of drink spiking, such as mental confusion, speech difficulties, memory loss, loss of inhibitions, nausea and vomiting, breathing problems, muscle spasms, loss of consciousness, and an unusually long hangover. Third tip, plan ahead and be aware of your surroundings. If students know that they will be drinking on Halloween, they should make sure to plan ahead. Students who are out with a group of friends can either make plans for someone to be the DD, or they can arrange for someone they know to pick them up. Another thing they can do is to use a rideshare service or take public transportation. Finally, while these tips can help students stay safe on their Halloween ventures, it is important to note that danger is unpredictable and it can arise at any moment. Prior to heading out to festivities, students should be aware of the many resources available on and off campus in case of concerns or an emergency. Yes, very
Sounds
important.
sounds like a great set of tips. I think I've had like some wild Halloweens in my life, and I think definitely being around the right people ensures you're gonna get home safely.
Mm-hmm.
What are your plans for Halloween weekend, Aziza? Are you going out to party?
I am going to one party, but I'm starting a new job this weekend.
Okay.
I'm gonna start working on campus.
Ooh.
I don't want to give too much away, but hopefully it'll go well.
Ooh.
Or I'll have a spooky weekend.
Oh my gosh. Okay, no, let's say it'll be spooky because it'll be fun spooky.
Yes.
Not bad spooky.
Yes. Thank you, Cindy.
That's awesome.
I need that.
Yeah, of course. I think I mentioned this. I'm gonna hit one party.
Mm-hmm.
But regarding the alcohol thing, I think that's for sure like maybe in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it's a super necessity to get like toe up from the flow up. But it gets old after a while. If you're gonna go out and party, I think it's fine. Right. But like you said, like the article perfectly said, be smart, hang around the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out for your drink. I can't believe people still spike drinks. What is that?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Just a big sigh. Just like it's just disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Any other news, Aziza?
That was all the news that I had prepared for today. We're all caught up. If you want to see more things, though, you could check us out online.
Yes.
Right, Cindy?
Yes, of course. Well, actually, I had one more thing I wanted to share with you. Since we're going to talk about an outside news story not related to CS to our school. Andrew Cuomo is charged in a sexual misconduct complaint. I just want to talk about this because last week we did talk about the Paris Hilton thing and her releasing that press release where she shared just like all the horrific things that she went through as a child. And like, since we're kind of on that topic of, I feel like it just keeps coming up, this sexual harassment topic. But this article is by the New York Times. Former Governor Andrew M. Cuomo was charged on Thursday, and this is a trigger warning for sexual assault, but he was charged with groping a female for purposes of degrading and gratifying his sexual desires. The misdemeanor complaint was based on the account of one of the dozen or so women whose accusations of sexual harassment against Mr. Cuomo formed the basis of the state attorney general's report that eventually led to his resignation in August. So the complaint is like kind of solidifying sort of like what people have been saying about him for a while. Apparently, if he does get charged, he faces up to a year in jail. I don't know if he'll be charged. You know, who knows how good his lawyers are. Of course, they're denying all the allegations and stuff. But apparently, you know, this woman, she was his assistant, and like they were in his house or something. And I'm assuming in his office working together, and he just like just started groping her. Could you imagine just how traumatizing and horrifying that is? Man. But yeah, you know, what are your thoughts, Aziza? I hope this isn't too strong of a topic to talk about, but
yeah,
it struck my attention today.
It's not the first case of a politician or a person of power like misusing their power and exploiting others. I'm glad we live in a day and age where we can easily just like expose people, you know.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're holding him accountable for that. I haven't looked too much into it, but if it is true, I believe he should go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, again, like the whole thing though, so the article goes on to say like they basically have to have her recount the incident, right? So can you imagine like already going through it once and then having to sit in court and say it over and over again?
Yeah.
Like I also have some type of way about the way that the laws are and just how like the victim has to prove themselves. Like, you know, they don't often believe the victim, unfortunately.
Yeah, it happens in all institutions, like even the small ones. Like even in for instance, if this weekend someone were to get like harassed, the victim will probably be the one who has to like prove that they were harassed, you know?
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe this is a start of more politicians, more men in power being held accountable, and hopefully they start doing more investigations, like you said, not just in politics, but like in other institutions, because men like that are unfortunately everywhere. Now, Aziza, that's all for news. I think we're all caught up this week. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
So I finally got to see Sister Act.
How was it? Tell us.
It was worth the wait. The actors and the performers that were in the show were so good. I don't remember the exact names, but one of the main characters, like the male like protagonist, he was straight out of a movie. Like he was so good.
Wow.
My friend, my friend Megan is the stage manager for it, and she was just like giving me a behind the scenes.
Ooh, how fun. Now, where was this? What theater was this playing at?
So this was at the Long Beach Playhouse.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Yes. How fun.
I think they're still doing it. I know for one of the shows they have like a pay what you can type of thing where you can just literally pay whatever you can to see the show. Yeah. Or you could like not even pay anything.
Yeah, well, they got showings. I'm looking online right now because it sounds like a lot of fun.
It's really good.
They have showings pretty much every Friday and Saturday till November 20th, which is the closing night. So it looks like you have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of that musical. I love me a good musical. No shame.
Yeah, I love musical theater.
Yeah, I think I wish I would have invested more time in school being a theater geek. Because I think it's so cool to like make a whole production like that and just sing your heart out. You know, I'm not the best singer, but I wish I was.
Dude,
I'll still sing my heart out.
That's right. No shame either. There's no shame in the singing game.
There you go.
You let it go.
There you go.
You let it out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, Aziza, thank you for sharing your news and your life updates with us. It's always fun to hear.
Thank you.
Again, good luck on your new job and all of that. We'll talk soon, hopefully.
Southland is bringing its credit union experience to the Long Beach State campus. As a student of Long Beach State, you are eligible to join with access to our new University Student Union branch, student loan services, free checking, and free financial educational resources. Visit Beach CU for more information.
Hello, everyone. So for today's segment, we will be discussing men's fashion and fall fashion trends with our two guests. The first guest is Christina Merino, who is the Arts and Life intern at the Daily 49er, as well as the reporter there, and pretty much like a jack of all trades, the MVP. She's editing, she's writing, she does it all. And also she does like amazing eye makeup. So if you get to see her on campus, look at her eye makeup, not to put any pressure, girl. But how are you, Christina?
Hi, I'm doing good. Just so happy to have survived this week. And thank you for the beautiful introduction. And thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. It's always a pleasure to have one of our Daily 49er staff members on the show. Now, our second guest tonight is Campus Couture Club Public Relations Coordinator, Gavin Pangilinan. I butchered that, bro. Dang. Gavin.
Oh, no, it's good.
I'm sorry. I know I practiced that like a million times. Gavin is joining us to lend his fashion wisdom. How are you, Gavin?
I'm doing good. I'm just getting through midterms, and it's going well. It's going well.
That's right. We're all sort of like at the mid semester mark. I think we're kind of pushing through. So shout outs to you, Gavin, for getting through that midterm mark, and shout out to all of us for getting through it, man. Now, let me get started with you, Gavin. It's a pleasure to have you. And let's talk a little bit about Campus Couture Club. What can you tell us about Campus Couture Club? What do you guys do on campus, and what are you working on this semester?
So we practically make like a runway show every year. We go through like production, finding a venue, and judges for the runway show. And so currently this semester, what we're trying to do is gather members for our for models, designers, and then of course these people that have to represent us, or we're representing them as like for sponsorship and fundraisers in terms of like saving money. So that's what we're doing for this semester. And then currently, it's going well.
That is great. That's awesome. So regarding men's fashion, I know we're excited to see like a lot of hoodies, a lot of sweaters, but what are some trends that you're seeing this semester?
This semester, I've been noticing a lot more into like knitwear, crochet, and fleece. I noticed that's a big one, especially with COVID-19 kind of pushing out this more comfort and like activewear side of people's wardrobes. I've been noticing, and you could like see that in stores as well. And I notice even places like Uniqlo is slowly picking up traction on like military clothes. I noticed they had like or I have one right. Oh no, I don't have it right here. But it's kind of like the quilted military shell. I've been seeing that a lot around. And then the fleece is that's a big one. There's a lot of those fleece jackets nowadays.
Yeah, that all sounds like super comfy and very fall-like. I'm always a fan of like the military look when the fall season comes around, because you can really wear like a pretty heavy canvas jacket and some like Doc Martens. I don't know, that's just me. But so let's talk more about this like knit sweater situation, because Christina mentioned we've noticed a lot of like comeback trends, like a lot of turtlenecks and things like that come back. Do you think the turtleneck is coming back this season also?
The turtleneck, I haven't been really seeing it around too much, but it's kind of along the same lines of the spectrum, but I just haven't seen it often because Southern California, it's really hot, and then it's like really cold, so it kind of just varies on the day. So I would love to see a lot more of that though. I really enjoy those.
Yeah, I agree. Christina, so let's talk with you for a second. So Gavin, you mentioned SoCal winter clothes, right? Christina, you know what that's like to live in Long Beach, and then the weather switch up on you so quickly, like you can't even really wear heavy jackets or sweaters because in a second it's going to be sunny and warm. What do you think, Christina? What's a good?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what, living in Southern California, it's so nice because of the weather that it doesn't get too cold, but it also like limits us in that like fashion sense of actually wearing the, typical fall aesthetic clothing of like turtlenecks and like big knitted sweaters. But I think eventually it will get colder. It will get the opportunity to wear those things. But I think sometimes you have to suck it up for the fashion too, even though you're like, sweating. But, if you look nice and you like your outfit, I think that's what counts.
That's right. How does the saying go? Beauty is pain.
Beauty is pain.
And so is fashion. Fashion hurts a little bit sometimes. Okay, so we've talked about some sweaters. I agree. I wish like turtlenecks could come back. I can only really wear a turtleneck like at night or something, but at Long Beach, there's no way. There's no way I could wear that. What do you guys think is a good like Long Beach outfit? Gavin, what would you wear on like a chilly day?
On a chilly day, I tend to wear like a lot more heavy stuff because that's like the only time I get to do so. So like it's more of like these like big like World War II jackets. I've been really into that, and a lot more like on the vintage side. So like right now, like I'm wearing like this leather jacket. It's kind of heavy because it's like plaid inside. So today was like moderately like below 80, you know? So I was like, oh, I might as well wear this. But I would usually wear that and like denim pants or even corduroy. I have this one really nice corduroy cargo pant from Japan. So I usually wear that often when it's really cold.
That's awesome. You mentioned thrift stores because we're going to touch on that subject. We have to. I feel like if everyone, like if you like fashion, you have to kind of shop at a thrift store because there's just some pieces that unfortunately like Forever 21 and Uniqlo, as trendy as they can be, they just sometimes miss the mark, and it doesn't look authentic. Like you want to get that authentic look, you have to go to a thrift store. So when you go to a thrift store, what are you guys, Christina, what do you look for? What's your go-to section? Because my go-to section is always like handbags or accessories. I always love me a vintage bag, but what do you go for, Christina?
I actually go for jeans. I think that like going to thrift stores and getting jeans is like the best place to get them because one, like if they're like actual denim, they're already broken in, so you just fit right in. And also like there's a lot more selection that you could choose from, and then just finding your right size, like figuring out how to get your own size is just a breeze, and you get different unique pants that aren't in department stores anymore, which is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. There's something really special about finding like a really cool pair of pants, jackets, whatever it is, like at a thrift store, because like it almost feels like it's the last one of its kind or something, like I got the last one or something. Gavin, so you mentioned, are you like into leather in the fall, like leather jackets? Are you faux leather or real leather?
I'm on that real leather.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so majority of my clothes, they usually try to import them from Japan, or I would go to a thrift store. So it's a lot more difficult because I'm really selective in that case, you know. But other than that, I really do enjoy wearing leather. It's just heavy sometimes. But in the fall, I'm definitely pulling those out, you know.
I love me a good leather jacket. If I can wear a leather jacket at least once in the season, oh my God, with a dress or even with like a flirty skirt or something, I got to wear a leather jacket at least once. Okay, so Gavin, what is an inspiration for you regarding like men's fashion? Where do you draw your inspiration from?
I mainly draw inspiration from like movies, especially even novels, but of course the scene in more so the experimental and like avant-garde scene in Japan and Europe because there's like artisanal work, and then there's a lot more. It's a bigger genuine connection between the designer and the producer, because one thing you could see relevant in like thrifting is people are starting to get it because the fabric, you know when something's industrial made, and you know when something's like handmade, or it's broken into, it gives it more character. There's a lot more, it feels stronger, it speaks to you stronger. So I think seeking inspiration from like these little underground brands, or um, people that are like making a difference towards the industry, that's like something that I aspire to be and am inspired from.
That's awesome. Great insight. Now, tell us a little bit more about this avant-garde, because I kind of have an idea, but explain it to me as someone who like doesn't really understand avant-garde. What is
Oh,
avant-garde?
I'll try my best at that one. But avant-garde is like a term that's like, it's trying to advance something in terms of art, technology, any category it is. Like, let's say a runaway show does something that's a lot more different and experimental. Like, it's sometimes controversial, sometimes it says a message, sometimes it's just ambiguous or mysterious, but that's like the entire delivery towards this process. For example, we could have something that's so like to contour your um, proportion or the shape of your body to make you look different. There's some way that it like interacts with like the user or interacts with the audience. There's a huge spectrum of avant-garde, but it's yeah, it's just like rebelling against the normity, so to speak.
Yeah, it definitely, I feel like avant-garde, it needs like a reaction out of like the crowd or something, but it definitely, like, yeah, like you said, like it propels a thought or an action or a feeling or something. I think it's awesome. Like, yeah, it's a hard thing to find, right? And like kind of put into one definition. You kind of know it when you see it. I think you feel it, if anything, before you can describe it. But anyway, avant-garde, I know, it's so amazing. Now, Gavin, let's talk about some icons. Let's talk about some male fashion icons that I can think of off the top of my head. Prince, I'm just gonna throw that out there, just like oozed, masculinity, but like I loved his just rocker style. I like Lenny Kravitz. I'm gonna keep going down the rocker lane. Help
Oh,
me out.
Michael Jackson. Michael
Ooh.
Jackson, Sid Vicious, Kurt Cobain. Those
Mm-hmm.
are definitely main inspirations for me. Um, I can't think of. I'm like brain farting. Those are like
Christina,
the main people who are.
Christina, help us out.
Yeah, Christina, let's go.
Oh goodness. I'm blanking too. I always feel like when people ask you like what's your like who inspires you to like dress like this, I'm like, I know there's so many people that I draw inspiration from,
Yeah.
but sometimes I just blank. I think right now the person that like I mostly am trying to like channel is probably like Ariana Grande. I feel like her style, it's, simple and easy, but at the same time, like it's her own. So I'm trying to kind of, use that inspiration of just trying to be, simple and easy in my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen, it's funny that because you mentioned a pop star, I feel like who would be right now, like at the pop level, an influential person? What about Harry Styles? His fashion is very like, I feel every time I see it's like retro. And then there's also this like trend of like 70s fashion and like also kind of like 60s, but I feel like, it tends to come back. Ariana Grande plays a lot with like that whole 60s eyeliner, and it's like very heavy, kind of like based off Priscilla Presley, kind of like, that really heavy dark liner. It looks great on her. I think it looks awesome. It's very like a classic look. Now let's talk a little bit about retro fashion, right? Gavin, what do you got to say? Share it.
I was gonna say Lil Nas X. That guy's going crazy.
Yes,
That guy's
Oh,
going
definitely.
absolutely ham. He performed and he had like a medieval suit on. I thought that was absolutely hard.
okay.
He's
Is
Yeah.
is he
bonkers.
avant-garde? Would you consider him avant-garde?
I mean, it could be considered. I think it's more so like flashy,
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
but in a good way. It's
In a
like
good way.
elegantly flashy,
Yeah.
so to speak.
I
Him
love
and then
him. Yeah.
um, Johnny Depp, John Mayer. Those guys are crazy.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about Johnny Depp fashion.
Oh,
Because
Johnny Depp.
yeah, so what do you like about Johnny Depp's fashion?
He's just so cool. Like he deserves, or like the way he dresses is the way he acts. That's something I really like about it. So it's like it's him when he's walking down the street. It's
Mhm.
almost kind of like, oh, I can't really pinpoint it. I just think of Jack Sparrow every time I picture him, but I also picture him with all like these jewelry, kind of almost like bohemian in a way,
Yeah, that's
you know?
yeah. He has a lot
Yeah,
of
it's really
like a
nice.
very like desert kind of bohemian look. I feel like he's very like almost kind of like a rustic cowboy because I do see him
Yeah,
wearing a lot of like kind of like tattered clothes, almost
yeah,
like he's been in the sun and his clothes are just kind of tearing a little bit. And like a
yeah,
hat is usually shading him, right? Like he has like a big hat on and glasses. So he has a mysterious look about him. I think that's part of his like his appeal,
persona.
his
Yeah,
persona. He has like
Definitely.
that mysterious cowboy kind of like dark glasses look. But yeah, I agree. Johnny Depp probably is a huge fan of the retro style as well. I
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if he was like a huge fan of like vintage fashion and all that. So yeah, like I'm a big, huge fan of like the 70s. I always have been for whatever reason. So I pull from the 70s like all the time. And I'm kind of really happy that I can actually buy bell bottoms in stores because the bell bottoms that I had were pretty much like vintage style and they tend to be like a lot more rougher, like a lot, more not so stylized. Like when they're trendy, they're a lot more like, stretchy and they're cuter and stuff. What do you guys think about 70s fashion? Christina?
I think like with all fashion, really, there's always like a comeback. Like
Mhm.
I feel like the comeback for like this time around is definitely bell bottoms. I think that's very a look that is coming back. And I don't know, I think I've seen a lot of like vests too, like just like knitted vests and different vests too. I think like I'm not sure if it's like 70s, but I'm really seeing like that come back too. Yeah, so I just think like fashion just tends to repeat itself,
Yeah,
but yeah, we just like find different ways to like incorporate it to like modern day fashion, which is
like
cool.
revive it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, just
There's like
reviving looks.
there's a few revival trends though, because we also have like the revival of like the early 2000s fashion. And
Yeah, like
people
Y2K,
really, yeah, like the Y2K
definitely.
fashion, people like really seem into that. First of all, when I was that age, it was like kind of cringe and I was like going through the hardest time in my life. It was like my preteen years. Like I wish I had confidence during the Y2K years.
I know.
But do you guys remember those years and those trends like the Juicy Couture sweatpants suit and oh my god, Gavin is hanging his head in disappointment. Gavin, what do you think?
It's a little difficult because when there's like people like doing something different, when there's something trending, it's like suffocating in a way because there's a lot of things that go underappreciated or unseen or seen something as foreign. So when you see people walking around like Y2K, Brandy Melville, like at times of course it looks nice. Then again, it feels like it's like lacking a little bit since it's so oversaturated of that, product and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. And then also like when you think about it, Y2K fashion in itself was not that great to begin with. It was a lot of like poorly made stuff that we were obsessively shopping at Forever 21 for, which I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but was like the birth of fast fashion, like fast fashion being things that you buy and they're out of style in like a few months, and you throw it away and get a new thing. And I feel like, where are we getting our fashion inspiration from, y'all? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. Everyone's on social media, looking on their explore page, then boom, oh this looks cool. This looks cool. Oh, I'm gonna be this. They're not their own person, you know what I mean?
I think arguably there's like a few Instagram pages that like run fashion or something because it seems like everybody follows the same ones or the same influencers and then they just all end up wearing the same thing. And I don't think there's an authenticity in that. you know,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
yeah, Christina, what do you think?
I think especially with TikTok too, it's been even faster than usual because TikTok is like go go go, like a trend is trending for a week or 2 weeks and then we're on to the next thing. So I think a lot of, like quote unquote influencers on there too, put a lot of that like pressure of like creating trends. And then, that happens of like, just the thrifting trend in general, like just going thrifting has become like a trend. And it, racks up the prices of those like thrift stores, and it doesn't benefit the people that they were actually, meant to benefit, like the people who need to go to, thrift stores to buy their clothes. But yeah, I think just that, we need to try to find our like authentic selves and not rely so much on like what other people are dressing like to, just be yourself.
I agree. That's 1,000% on point, because I feel like the most authentic fashion is the one that is like the realest, like the one that looks the best is the most authentic. And like, how do you achieve an authentic look? Just be yourself, like your stuff that you like, and you're automatically like trending. Because this is what I think. I feel like if you just naturally have your own style, you are just naturally a trend setter, because it's not trend. It is no, it is against the trend to make your own thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to go with the trend. So when you make your own trend, you're right, like kind of beating to the beat of your own drum or whatever. You kind of like are really breaking the mold. You're already doing something so revolutionary, because it's easy to follow the trends. It's easy to watch TikTok and like, get sucked into that and be like, oh, I need to wear that. I need to look like that. And scroll on Instagram and our explore page and be like, oh, I need to look like that, or I need to buy that, what shoes or whatever, as opposed to just doing your own thing and not even being worried about that to begin with. So yeah, I think that's so on point. Gavin, what do you think about trends?
Trends. I don't really like trends too much because it kind of flies by over everyone's heads. I think one of the main things that's so important about clothing is like it's such a struggling yet intimate process, like as an individual. So it's like, you could be buying something, but if you have this sense of mainstream media or trends stuck in your head, then it almost seems like you're trapped in like the bubble they made you, so to speak. It's more so people telling you what to do rather than you not listening to the voice in your head. It's really hard because when a big brand like a luxury brand or high-end fashion powerhouse, they see these trends, they take advantage of it and they'll produce more of it, and then the fast fashion people will mass produce it. So that's the only thing they're left to buy. People that don't know about thrifting, people that don't know about reselling or secondhand markets, they're forced to in like these conditions, so to speak. It's almost like the entire system is like trapping them as well, both
I
like
think,
as an individual.
yeah, no, you bring up a good point. I don't mean to cut you off, but you
Yep.
bring up a good point. Like, when you think about how people used to shop before, like let's just look at like the Y2K era, right? Like, we used to go to malls, and it used to be in this one building, like surrounded by just store after store after store. And like, when you think about it, they're all kind of selling the same sort of thing, right? Like trendy stuff in a different store, but it's kind of the same thing. And they had, I feel like you said, programmed consumers to sort of be like, you got to go to the mall to buy all your fashion stuff, because if you don't go to the mall, you're not trending. And now it's just like, it's actually not true. Like, you can absolutely 1000% find clothes elsewhere and in a number of ways that don't require buying it at Forever 21, or I can't even think of the other ones. But yeah, I mean, right? I think so.
Now it's thrifting. Now
Yeah.
everyone's saying move to thrifting, then there's going to be a new one. I think, or it kind of did blow up, but I'm assuming it's going to blow up soon. There's like a thing called archiving, It's practically like all these, like, let's say like Calvin Klein, they're a big hitter, and even brands like Helmut Lang or Louis Vuitton, they have items that are 2008 and below. So people are reselling these for high prices, and I'm a victim of it as well, right? And so I really like the stuff from the past. And you know how they say, everything reoccurs, trends reoccur. So it's gonna come up again, and then people are gonna move to archiving. Then there's gonna be another thing, next thing, authentic military clothes. Whatever is more exclusive, whatever is not known, people jump there. Then it gets popular, and so. Because thrifting wasn't too popular back then.
Yeah.
I
And I
think that's
think
something that
also,
resurfaced.
yeah, and it was probably harder to find thrift stores back then. I feel like they're a lot more accessible now, at least. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I said, we were more, at least I was more drawn to malls in my teenage years, and I never really sought out thrift stores. But I will shout out one particular thrift store in my neighborhood. It was owned by a family. Her name was Juanita. I don't even know if anybody would know this thrift store, but I don't even know how she would get all this stuff. But she would go to like wherever Goodwill gets their stuff or something, and she would just get like piles and piles of things and sell it. But anyways, it's like small little thrift stores like that, that like those are the gems. And she's still there. I drove by the other day on Beverly Boulevard, like on the border of Hollywood, and she's still there. And I'm like, dang, that's what's up. That's a thrift store for life. Christina, what's a thrift store that you like?
Since moving to Long Beach, I haven't really been to like thrifting yet, but go to is always Goodwill. Just go with enough time in your hands to like look through everything, because sometimes when you take the most time in like searching is when you find that one really good piece to add to your wardrobe, because sometimes just one thing adding to your wardrobe is what makes it better, not sometimes buying in bulk isn't what does that. Finding like specific like different pieces that make, and then making them your own into your own style is what counts.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And you bring up a good point. Go thrift shopping with patience and like on a full stomach or something. Don't go like hungry or rushing. Like you gotta go to work. Like, no, make a day of it, because you're gonna have to like look around the racks, especially if you're going to Goodwill. Like there's a whole process. You gotta know what color is on sale that week. And like, there's just like a whole thing to it. I always start off in the dresses, and then I just like work my way. I have a whole process when I go to Goodwill. Gavin, where do you like to thrift?
I like to thrift in LA every Sunday morning. There's like this place in Fairfax Trading Post, I believe. I think that's probably one of the best thrifting I went to. Other than that, before I used to go to Savers, like in like Garden Grove, Westminster, I think. And then there's another one. I think it actually got famous off of TikTok. There's a place called, I think it's literally called Drop Your Jeans, and it's in San Bernardino, and they sell uh super old Levi pants and like orange tab Levi's. So yeah, those three I think are my top.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I will kind of go into any little thrift store if it looks like kind of like if I can see it from the door and it looks like there's a lot of stuff inside, I'll be like, let me go look inside and let me see what's going on in there. And chances are you're gonna find something good. I don't know. Maybe that's just me always hopeful thinking. But yeah, thrifting, I agree. It's a trendy thing. People like discovered it and then they got cool, and it's like now it's cool. And the people that were doing it, like Christina mentioned, because they actually needed like affordable clothing, now really can't even find affordable clothing, because even the stuff that's first of all used should not be that, pricey, especially when it's like not, name brand. Because, at Goodwill, you're looking at like Forever 21 stuff, Wet Seal or something. I can't think of any other brands. Okay, so what are we talking about? Like, let's see, fall colors. What about fall colors, guys? Orange, olives, browns. What's your
Definitely
favorite?
neutral colors.
Neutral. What is neutral though? Like neutral dark.
Neutral is like it's like military green or like beige, and then
Mhm.
there's like you have like that light brown. It's really nice,
Mhm.
or like gray more so. Cause like hard colors like solid green, solid black, it's too like rough in a way. It's like aggressive.
Yeah.
Neutral colors, it's like easy on the eyes. It's like for fall, you're easing into winter, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of earth tones. And I feel like we are seeing a lot of like earth stuff. I don't know if that makes sense. But like the leaves are changing. So we see a lot of more of those colors. And I think that's why we see it in our clothes, maybe that's why. But I like that. I like that neutral trend because I agree. I love a nice, soft, like creamy white sweater in the fall. It just feels so nice, and drinking a pumpkin spice latte, which I'm pretty much done with. So this whole time that's what I was sipping on, my pumpkin spice latte over ice, if anybody was wondering. So any other fashion fall trends you guys want to talk about? Anybody?
Oh, I guess I'll go. Yeah, I think just me. I've just been trying to incorporate more like vests because I think that's such like a cool thing. Even though it's like quote unquote trendy, I just think they look so cute and like you could like style them any way you want. If you want more preppy or more chill, like it's just fun. Experimenting with like different things, and that's why I love fashion because it's just you could be your own and take inspiration, but also being yourself. And yeah, fall is like I think a great time to mix and match a lot of that, and especially in SoCal, we even though it's kind of rough because it's like warm and cold all of a sudden, like I think we also could take advantage of that, of combining like typical like fall wear, like like jackets, and then pairing them with like shorts or a skirt, just exploring like the variety that there is in this world. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and I think definitely fall weather and like fall fashion is definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I agree because in fall you can layer more things, you can put stuff on, and in the summertime you got to take stuff off, like you're just the less clothes possible the better, but in the fall it starts getting chillier, so you can wear like certain things that you can't always wear throughout the year. But I agree. Um Gavin, what is some fall trends that you're incorporating into your wardrobe currently?
I'm definitely on the fleece. I really like the fleece. I think that's something I've been carrying on. But it's just a little difficult making it your own,
That's
because
right.
like I don't particularly dislike trend, but when you do see something trendy, you're like, oh, that looks cool, but how can I make it my own?
Hmm.
And make it unique, make it different. So that's probably like the only one I've tried to incorporate. But other than that, like yeah, trying to go against the grain, so to speak.
Mhm. That's awesome. That's always a mood forever. Always going against the grain. I agree. Both of you guys said something really, really important. And I think this coincides with our view on fashion is that you really got to be yourself to be any good at fashion, quote unquote. You got to really like just know who you are and what you like and who you are and how you want to present and show up. And the closer you are to your most authentic self, that's just your best outfit, in my opinion. Thank you so much, Christina and Gavin, for joining us this episode. Thank you for your insight. And you guys can absolutely 1000% look out for Campus Couture, CSULB on Instagram to follow and see all that fashion trends, all the fashion updates brought to you by Campus Couture Club at Long Beach. That is what's up. Christina, thank you for joining us and for taking part in this little project that we have going on that's called Daily 49er Podcast. That is all for this week. Head on over to daily49er.com where you can read more campus and Long Beach related news, as well as more multimedia content like this podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Daily49er. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys, and have a great night.